Is there more evidence of a secret agenda in the research these priests did? More intriguing parallels can be found in a Spanish research document written by Friar Bernardino Sahadun during the 1500s. Known as the Florentine Codex, it also details the history and culture of the Aztecs. Based on decades of research compiled by Sahagún, the document reached some startling conclusions. So startling, in fact, that the Florentine Codex was never published.
Let's put this into context. We're in the middle of the medieval era in Europe. So we have a culture that's based on plunder, destruction, and complete subjugation by a particular religious order. From this culture emerges a group of Spanish people who ride all the way across the Atlantic. They land in Central America, and they are totally amazed to find that these supposed morons and barbarians, and they were barbarians, by the way. I mean, human sacrifice is not an enlightening thing. But they found, quite to their amazement, that their stories and their myths actually sounded very much like the stuff that was already in the Bible, which back in Europe was the high point of civilization, okay? So they began to write these things down, and the more they wrote and the more they listened to the Aztecs, the more they realized that their myth really preceded Christianity. Now we have a problem, because when you start describing the god Quetzalcoatl, who basically was born of a virgin in a cave, he goes AWOL for 40 days into the wilderness, goes on top of a sacred hill, preaches religion to the masses, then is nailed figuratively to a cross, not literally, gets up 3 days later after he crosses into the other world, around the 21st of December, and is resurrected as a god-man, after which he's deified as a hero. That story was already around. So, being a priest in the middle of all of this, I would have gone, oh dear, oh Susanna, we have a bit of a problem, Houston, because now it means that everything that's in the Bible, everything that we've been worshipping in Europe, is actually much, much older. So they put one and one together, and they realized, my God, this stuff is almost like what the Sumerians were saying in 3000 BC.
The Codex is presented to the Church, but predictably, they wanted nothing to do with it.
So only today we begin to realize that the old world, as we called it, was actually much more ahead than what Europe was professing at the time.
Could the ancient knowledge from Quetzalcoatl have been given to the Aztecs? If so, did the Aztecs pervert this knowledge? And could another influence have stepped in, disguised as the war god Huitzilopochtli? If this is true, is this more proof that the demise of the Aztecs might have been played out by a supernatural and otherworldly force left behind by these gods?
We have to ask ourselves, is it possible that these two beings who allegedly came from the stars are actually two otherworldly beings in conflict? Is it possible that we're looking at two creatures who are not friendly towards each other? Is it possible that we're actually looking at two different deities or two different otherworldly beings? In my opinion, and if we take a look at ancient texts, mythology, and everything the ancient Aztecs and Mayans left behind, the answer is yes.
Upon